Angles and parallel lines is what we're looking at in this video. It's split into 7 parts. So first going to look at vertically opposite angles, then corresponding, then alternate, co-interior, finding all the angles in examples like this, looking at multiple lines passing through the parallel lines, and then 2 pairs of parallel lines like this. So the way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left, which is I do. You are then going to press pause and have got the example on the right, which is you do. Now, before we do this example on vertically opposite angles, we probably just want to take a step back and look at what exactly this is. So in this case, we've got 2 parallel lines. We know that because of these arrows. Okay, that's telling us they're both parallel. And then we have a line that passes through them. What this line does is it creates angles. So with vertically opposite, we know that this angle and this angle are exactly the same. Now, if I use a different color, we also know that this angle and this angle are exactly the same. So for example, if someone told us this is 70, you automatically know that this is 70 because they're vertically opposite. Now I can show a quick visual on this. So if I come over here, you can see these 2 angles are vertically opposite to each other. They're the exact same, however I move this line. Okay, and now if I put these other 2 in, you can see those 2 in the opposite direction are also the exact same to each other, no matter how I move this. So this is called vertically opposite angles, and the same applies down here. You can see however I move this line, these angles that are vertically opposite to each other are exactly the same. So if I now head back to my slides, so if you look at this example again, so here it says find angle X and give reasons for your answer. So we're going to say X is 180. Now this is important. You have to give a reason, and we just write the reason is just vertically opposite. That's all. So these 2 angles, because they're vertically opposite to each other, they're the same. Now again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a good example on the right. So again, in this case, they're both just vertically opposite to each other. So we just say, well, X is 140. And the reason for that is because they are vertically opposite. Now giving the reason is key to getting the mark, okay? So now moving on, we are looking at corresponding angles. So this is the F shape. So what we looked at before was the X shape, really. We can call it the X shape. Opposite angles are the same. Now with the F shape, what we're saying is, when you have something like this, these 2 angles are the same. And in fact, if I use my highlighter in a blue color maybe, so what we're saying is that if you have something like this, so that's your F shape there, you can also have the F backwards, you can also have the F upside down, and you can also have the F backwards like this. And what we're saying is that these 2 angles are the same. These 2 angles inside the F are the same. Oh, not that one. These 2 are the same, and these 2 are the same. And again, I can show you a quick visual on this. So if I head back here, this is called corresponding angles. So you can see the F shape here, and you can see however I move this line, those 2 angles inside the F are the same. And I can change this. Like I said, the F can also be backwards, like this. The F can also be upside down, like this. And the F can also be in this direction, like this. So if I now head back to my slides, so essentially, if someone told me that this angle here was 110, I know that this angle here is 110, and the reason for that is corresponding. So it's the F shape. So again, if you look here, hopefully you can see the F shape. So that's the F shape I can see straight away. So I know that this and this are the same. So I can say that X is equal to 81 degrees, and the reason is corresponding angles. And again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a good example on the right. So this is an upside down F. So these 2 are going to be the same. So you know that X is equal to 120 degrees. And the reason for that, again, is corresponding angles. Moving on. So we're now looking at the next shape. So this is the Z shape. So this is called the alternate angle. So the Z shape is something like this, or you can have it backwards like that. And what we're saying is that this angle here is the same as this, and this angle here is the same as this. So if I just use my highlighter to draw the Z on, there we go, perfect. And what we're saying is that this and this are the same, this and this are the same. And again, if you look at a visual demo, if I bring this over here with alternate angles, you can see no matter how I move this line, those 2 angles inside the Z are the exact same. And the Z can also be backwards like this. And you can see it's a Z shape, and those 2 angles are exactly the same. So they're called alternate angles. So if I now head back over to my slides, so we're now looking at examples here. So with this one, we can see that this is a Z shape. So this angle and this angle are the same. So we're going to say X is 135 degrees, and the reason is alternate angles. And with this one, again, it might look a little bit tricky, but it's still a Z shape because it's in a different orientation. So X is equal to 75 degrees, and the reason is alternate angles. moving on. So we're looking at the final case, which is co-interior. So this is the C shape. So essentially something like this or something backwards like this. And what we're saying here is that these two angles, if I use a different color, these two angles add up to 180. Now what that means is if someone told us this angle here is 80, you know this is going to be 100 because the co-interior adds up to 180. And again, I can show a visual demo on this. So here we've got the C shape, and you can see if I was to move the C shape to get to 100, for example, you can see the interior adds up to 180. So if I didn't know what the pink angle was and the blue one, I can figure that out. And again, if you add these two together, that's 180. Okay, and you can have it backwards as well like that. And you can see they always add up to 180. So if I head back over to my slides, so again, here we've been asked to find angle X, and you can spot the C shape there. So we can say that X is equal to, in fact, let me just use my usual color. I don't normally use blue. So X is equal to 180 take away 120, which is equal to 60 degrees. And the reason is co-interior angles. And again, hopefully you've spotted the C shape here. It's like that. So we have X is equal to 180 take away 60, which is 120. And again, the reason here is co-interior angles. So here's some mixed practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work and make sure you have got the reasons written down as well to get the mark. So now moving on, here we've been asked to find all angles. Now this may seem a little bit scary at first, but it's not that scary. I will give the reasons verbally rather than writing them down. So in this case, I would say B is going, if I'll zoom in a bit, in fact, I would say B is 70. And my reason for that is because it's vertically opposite to this. Because they're vertically opposite, I'm going to say B is 70. Now to find C, we can just use angles on a straight line. Angles on a straight line add up to 180. So if I know this is 70, this is going to be 110. Okay, so just to be clear there, I've used angles on a straight line. Angles on a straight line add up to 180. I know this was 70, so this must have been 110. Now to find A, I can say that A is vertically opposite to C, so that is also going to be 110 degrees. So hopefully you can see how, just by using that 170 degree angle, I found all four of them. Now to find the angles down here, I could say F is 110, because you can use various reasons, because, well, I can say this is an F shape, and these two angles must be the same. I know what F is, so D is quite easy, because D is just vertically opposite. And E is quite easy. E is going to be 70. Again, there's various reasons you can use. You can either use the co-interior angle, where these two add up to 180. You can either use the Z angle, where you can say that and that are the same. So there's various reasons you could use. And G is just the opposite to E, so that's 70. So hopefully you can see how just by given one angle, I was able to figure out all the rest. And you can use different rules. You could use the F, you could use the Z, you could use the C, you could use the fact that angles on a straight line are 180. You could use all of this to find all of these. So that's really important to know, okay? So hopefully you've pressed pause and had a good example on the right. So again, I would recommend that you write the reasons down, but I'm just going to say them verbally. So the reason here can be, one of the reasons here can be vertically opposite. It doesn't have to be that, because you could have used angles on a straight line. So for this one, I will use angles on a straight line. For this one, I will use vertically opposite. But again, like I said, there could be different reasons depending on how you did this. For B, I would use corresponding. But like I said, you could use a different reason too. C would be 140, and I would also use corresponding. And then this is just vertically opposite to C, so that would be 140. And then D is just vertically opposite to B, which is 40. Again, your reasons could have been different depending on the rule you used, but the answers should still be the same. So moving on. So here we've got multiple steps to get to the answer, okay? So it's not as straightforward as just doing one step. So again, there's multiple ways you can do this. So either you can use the F and say this is 70. So if I use the F, I can say this is 70. And then to get the X, it's angles on a straight line. So you would say the reasoning here, the first thing I've done is corresponding angles. So you need to write that down. What did you use? So corresponding angles is what I used first. And then I said X is equal to 180, take away 70, which is 110. And my reason here is angles on a straight line. Now you could have done this a bit differently. You could have gone with this first. You could have gone, so instead of corresponding here, you would have said alternate if you went with that first, okay? So there's different ways you can get to the answer. Now again, hopefully you press pause and add a good example on the right. Now the way I would do this, now again, there's two ways. You could either go with the corresponding, which gives you that value there, and then these two are vertically opposite, or you could do this is vertically opposite and then use the corresponding. It doesn't really matter how you do this. In fact, the way I would do this, now that I think about it, I would just say that's 60. So I'll write my reason, which is corresponding angles, and then I would just write x is equal to 60 degrees, and then the reason there is vertically opposite. But you could have gone with vertically opposite first, which is that one there, and then got that one through the corresponding. But yeah, as long as all your reasons are down that you've used, that's fine. So moving on. So this time we've got two missing angles, so we can say that y is equal to 80 degrees, and the reason for that is alternate angle, so that's the Z shape. And just to show you that with my highlighter, that's what I've done here. These two are the same. And with x, we can just see its angles on a straight line. So x is going to be 180 take away y, which is 80, which is 100. And the reason for that is angles on a straight line add up to 180. Line add up to 180 degrees. Cool. And again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a good example on the right. So I would say that this is 50 degrees because of corresponding angles. So I'm going to write that down. So these corresponding angles, and then I can say that with x, it's easy actually. X is going to be 50 degrees because it's vertically opposite. And with y, I can just say it's going to be about 180 take away 50, which is 130 degrees. And the reason for that is because I'm not going to write that out. I'm just going to copy and paste this. Angles on a straight line add up to 180. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Now, some of your reasons might be a bit different depending on the approach you've taken, but as long as x value is the same and just make sure your reasons are right, that's all fine. So moving on, we are now looking at multiple lines passing through the parallel lines, but the same rule applies. So looking here, if I was to do x, I can see that's just going to be that. So x is going to be 60 degrees, and the reason for that is corresponding angles. And then for y, I can say, well, y is going to be 100 degrees, and the reason for that is co-interior. So with the y, I can use the C shape. And again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. So immediately looking at this, I'm thinking of doing x. Not x first, actually. I would do z first, personally. So z is 120, and it's because, have I still got it here? Yeah, because angles, in fact, let me just rub that off. Because angles on a straight line add up to 180. Let me just move that out of the way. So that's z done. Well, y is quite easy. Y is just going to be the same now. Because I know what z is, I can just use alternate angles. So just to recap that, what I've done here is angles on a straight line add up to 180. What I've done for y is the z shape. Z is going to be equal to y there. And then finally we're left with x. Now to get x, I just need to know what this is really, or what this is. So I can just say, well, actually this is going to be 150. And the reason for that is corresponding angles. And then we can say x is equal to 180, take away 150, which is equal to 30 degrees. And then the reason for that is because angles on a straight line, let me just make that a bit smaller, add up to 180. And hopefully you can also see how I've grouped this all together. So I've done z here, and then I've done y there, and then I've done x there. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now, your reasons might be a little bit different depending on how you've approached it, but the values of x and y should be the exact same. So sometimes you can have two pairs of parallel lines. Now, what's different with this is you've obviously got that pair there, and you've got that pair there. Now, what this means is, for example, the F shape can be like this, but the F shape can also be now this direction because both sides are parallel. Okay, and again, with the Z shape, you can have a Z like this, but you can also have a Z like this. And same with the C shape. You can have a C like this. You can have a C in this direction too. Okay, so having a look at this question here, we want to find x. So how would I do this? So I would just say, well, actually that there is going to be 100 due to corresponding angles, and then I'll use angles on a straight line to get x. So I would say I've used corresponding angles, and then I would say x is equal to 180, take away 100, which is 80 degrees, and then finally angles on a straight line add up to 180. So looking at the example on the right, so with this one, the way I would do it is I would say, well, actually, we can find this, which is going to be 60 degrees, and then we know what x is through corresponding. So with this, what I'm going to use is the fact that it's a co-interior angle, and then for the x, I'm just going to use the fact that this is a corresponding angle. But again, you could have done this differently, depending on how you approached it, but that's how I will approach this. So I would say co-interior angle is what I've used there to get the 60 degrees, and then I would say, well, x is equal to 60 degrees, and the reason for that is corresponding angles. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. In fact, I've just realized the answer for this one's not on here, so this will be 150, take away that, which will give you 130 there. And then you could do 130 there as well. So that's angles on a straight line, corresponding angles, and then that's 130 there. Just as a quick recap, so that's angles on a straight line there, and then I've used corresponding angles there, and then I've used corresponding angles again there. So if you would like some more practice on this, I have got a full worksheet link down in the comments below. And if you found this video useful, I've got loads of other content like this on my channel. Do check it out.